Hi there, boys and girls. Since we've been talking about shapes and their parts, today I want to discuss how we can separate these shapes into fractions or parts of their whole. Do you know what a fraction is? Fractions are very useful numbers. They're used to count parts of a whole or parts of a group. Okay, so I want you to imagine a square just like this one I had drawn out for you. Now we're going to take this square and divide it up into two parts. These two parts are called halves. Can you think of another way to divide it up into more parts? Let me show you. Now we have the square divided up into 4 equal parts. These are called fourths because we have 1 part, 2 part, 3 parts, and 4 parts. So it is separated into fourths. Now I have a real block here. This is one whole block. It's not been separated into any parts. So now imagine the same block divided into halves. So here are 2 equal parts of the same block. Now we're going to imagine that block divided up into fourths. See this yellow block? It has 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, just like I showed you in my drawing. We can separate these parts just like that. Now let's imagine that same block and try to divide it up into 3 equal parts. So we have 1, 2, 3 equal parts. These are called thirds. We have 1/3, 2/3, and now 3/3. 1, 2, 3. Now we can even go further and divide the square up into eighths. So here we have 4 on this side, but then we also have 4 on the top. So let's divide it into halves first. Okay, there's our halves. Now let's divide it into quarters. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these quarters can be divided even further. See how we have 4 other parts? These are called eighths. So my 2 halves are divided up into 8 equal parts. Okay, I just want to go over that one more time. Now imagine here's the block again, which this is also the same block. I have divided the block up into thirds. That are 3 equal parts. The first one is called 1/3 because it is 1 out of the 3 parts. The second section would be 2/3 because it is 2 out of 3 equal parts. And then the third section would be 1, 2, 3/3. That is 3 out of the 3 parts. The other way to show it, like I did earlier, in fourths is another example right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. The first one is called 1/4. That is 1 out of 4 equal parts. The second one is called 2/4. That is 2 out of the 4 equal parts. The third section is called 3/4. That is 1, 2, 3 out of the 4 equal parts. And then finally, 4/4. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts out of the whole. Now, you may think it's funny that there's 4 out of 4 parts on top of each other. The 4/4 also equals 1 whole because we're using 4 out of 4 parts or 1 whole. The same thing goes for the thirds. We're using 3 out of the 3 parts or 1 whole. Okay, boys and girls, I have one last thing that I would like to show you. Let's discuss the different parts of the fraction when you write it out. So for example, when you're writing out 1 out of 2 parts, or 1/2 as a fraction, this is how it will look. So we have 1/2, or 1 out of 2 parts. So the top number is called the numerator. The numerator is the number of pieces or parts being used out of the whole entire number. So we are using 1 out of 2 parts. The bottom number is called the denominator. The denominator is the number of parts or pieces that make up the whole. So we have 2 parts being used, which equals 2 as the whole. So 1 out of 2 parts is being used. Or we can also call it 1/2. Now, boys and girls, I need you to continue on to the next portion of this lesson, which, lucky for you, is a game. Yay! I hope you enjoy your fractions, and I will be seeing you very, very soon.